Okay, grade 12s, here we go, our final section of the 2024 paper and the 2025 supplementary as well. Okay, so let's just have a look here. This is our supplementary. That's our 2024, so let me just change that around. Right, so let's look now, because this is our integrated scenario. Now, remember what I've said to you? When it comes to the integrated scenario, they can ask you on anything, but when you answer, you have to answer to the scenario. So please do not forget that. So let's look at our scenario here. They're telling us some hotels are disrupting SA's hospitality sector after securing cutting-edge technologies to create a streamlined guest experience. These use, here's our first clue, artificial intelligence-based humanoid robots. So these that we see here. They deliver room service to guests and work as attendants or waiters. Lexi, Micah, and Ariel were introduced at one of South Africa's hotels to lend a helping hand to the human staff at the property. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with, giving us some more information there. Hotel robots provide a competitive edge over the competition. They can free up time of the human staff, etc. So I can already see where they're going with this, right? They're going to be looking at having robots as opposed to humans, how it works, the tech behind it, things like that. Okay. First question. They're looking now and they're saying, during the check-in process, guests receive a mobile key that uses a digital key linked to the guest's mobile device, right? That's through a secure connection. This enables the guest to access their room by simply communicating with the lock on the door using their mobile device. So again, guests receive a mobile key. It uses a digital key that's linked to the guest's mobile device, their cell phone. Okay. Which technology allows you to be able to use this mobile key besides RFID? Now look at this. This enables guests to access their room by simply communicating with the lock on the door using their mobile device. So are you bringing your mobile device near to the lock? Yes, you are. Are you bringing it in close proximity? Yes, you are. What is the only wireless communication methods that uses, like a short or has a short range? We're talking about Bluetooth and near field communication. Okay. Right. Let's go. 8.2. Other hotels make use of RFID technology. Now, do you see? They mentioned it here. Besides RFID, now they bring in RFID in. Expand the acronym RFID. So it's radio frequency identification, right? That's it. Then they want us to, for 2 marks, explain how the technology works. So we can say things like it uses radio waves sent via an RFID antenna to a tag in the area. Right? We can also say it uses a system of tags, readers, and servers to allow door access via radio waves to registered residents. Now, you don't have to say it exactly like that, but that's sort of the idea. Your communication is taking place, here's the important bit, via radio waves. And that is the radio waves between the antenna and between the actual tag. Okay. Then when guests interact with robots, they make use of facial recognition to determine whether a guest is happy or unhappy. What technology do we refer to for robots to be able to interpret a person's facial expressions? Well, we know that. One word. That is biometrics. Okay. Discuss another example where this type of technology is used. What type of technology? The one we just mentioned here. So you see, if you left this blank, you're going to have a problem here. So we don't leave blanks. Please don't. Right? So biometrics. Discuss another example where biometric technology is used. So where else do we use biometrics? Well, access control, for security purposes, for identification purposes. Have you been to the bank and scanned your thumb? Right? People, and you've seen it on movies, they gain access by scanning their eyes, scanning their hands, their voice, any of those type of things. Right? The hotel makes use of information points. Visitors use a menu to select information about the hotel. The menu includes all the information regarding the services. The information is provided only using high definition video and audio track. State one input. So what is input? That will be given an instruction to the computer. One input device that could be used for the information point. Now, don't get lost in this question, because they're just telling you, when you go to the shopping centers and they have those big screens up there where you can touch on them and see where the different shops are. That's all they're talking about. So they've got an information point. And they say visitors use a menu to select. Have you been to KFC? Have you been to McDonald's? Yes, you've done the same thing. So what sort of input device can we use? Think of KFC and McDonald's. Touch screen. Right? We can use a keyboard, we can use a microphone, we can use a mouse, but for the most part, we're going to end up using a touch screen. The output is shown on a monitor. State one other output device. It could be used for the information point. Well, to get the info out besides the monitor, there could be a printer to give us, a printout. There could be a speaker for it to speak to us. There could be headphones. There could be lights, anything like that. Right. A good internet connection is an important requirement at this information point. Yes. I remember going to KFC one day where, because the servers were down, even though they had those screens up there and those menus, you couldn't work on them because they could not connect to the server. So give one reason why the hotel should make use of a fiber connection. Do you see? They're telling you all of this, but what they're actually looking at is just, okay, give me an advantage of using a fiber connection rather than a DSL. Okay, now, you can give me a whole lot. They're just looking for one reason. You could say reliability. The fact that your fiber optic cables are less susceptible to interference. You could say higher bandwidth capacity. In other words, they move the data a lot faster. It's more secure as well than your traditional copper cables. So any one of those. The hotel decides to introduce quick response or your QR codes in different places at the hotel. Describe how customers obtain the information from a quick response code. Do you notice they're not saying QR code? They're trying to trick you here. Okay, but this is a QR code. So that QR stands for quick response. So how will a customer obtain info from a QR code? What are they going to do? They're going to scan the QR code, right? They're going to read it maybe with certain software. Once it reads it, it's going to give you a link. It might open a document, anything like that. Okay, so that's what you're going to be telling me there. Then all the guests' information is saved on a database. Database access. The database administrator needs to set up data and use a primary key. What is a primary key? What is our primary key? It's a unique value that identifies a record. That's all it is. Okay? A unique value, that's one mark, that identifies a record, that's your second mark. Now give an example of the guest information that could be used as a primary key. Well, you could use their ID number, their booking number, right? Things that cannot be duplicated, that nobody else can have but them. Next one, the hotel would like to get feedback from their guests as they would like to improve their services. They decided to make use of an online survey. So online survey, think Google form, right? Just think of a Google form. Now we go to the question. Discuss 2 advantages of using online surveys to gather information. Remember this word discuss. So we're going to have to say something as opposed to the other one, right? So we could say, for example, an advantage is, well, it will be a faster means of collecting data as opposed to, a hard copy. You can send it to more people in a shorter space of time than your traditional, sort of walking around and handing things out. You're also going to get far more accurate responses that go directly into the system as opposed to your hard copies. Okay, so there's multiple. Name the control field. Remember the fields in Word? Control field that will be appropriate when creating electronic form where the user must choose between 2 options. Well, that's our drop-down box. Remember our drop-down box? Yeah, that one. 3 types of storage media that may be used by the hotel are magnetic, optical, and solid state. One example of solid-state storage is a solid-state drive. Identify one other example of solid-state storage. So remember, our solid-state drives work on flash memory, right? So when you think of that, what else do you think of that as that flash memory? A USB flash drive, a memory card, right? Your SD card, any of them work on the same principle. A mobile device used by the hotel uses an SSD as secondary storage. So what's our primary storage? Our RAM. Give 2 reasons why an SSD is the most suitable secondary storage for the mobile device. Well, it's smaller in size, it's more compact, it's more lightweight, lower power consumption, runs quietly, runs at a cool temperature. Man, there are a lot of reasons. But anything there will be fine as long as it actually makes sense. Another type of storage is cloud storage. Discuss 2 advantages. Can you see what's happening here? Can you see? Can you see? Look at this. Concept, a reason for the concept. Describe the concept. Concept, advantages. Concepts, reasons. I hope you're picking up on the trend. Advantages. Okay. Benefits of USB. Again, benefits, reasons, advantages. Do you see them all coming through? Right? Okay. Cloud storage I was looking at. Well, 2 advantages for the hotel. Well, the data can be accessed anywhere as long as there's an internet connection. There's no need to buy additional hardware. Your data is kept secure. I mean, you don't have to do it. The company's going to be doing that. They make use of a USB connection to transfer data onto the external hard drive. State 2 other benefits of using a USB connection other than the fact that it is a universal connection. Other than that. Well, let's look at the physical aspect. The USB drive or USB connection to that external drive, it cannot be, you cannot plug it in incorrectly, right? It can only go in one way. There's high speed transmission of the data. When you plug it in, it automatically gets detected. Once you plug it in, I mean, it's not like you got to switch it on. It powers on automatically, right? So there you go. And that's it. That's it for question 8. That's it for question 8 from 2024. Let's see what they had in question 8 in 2025. So again, another scenario here, but look at this now. They're dealing with the esports club. Okay, you guys can read through that. Let's look at this. This is interesting because now we're dealing with the specs of the PC. And I've literally done this in the lives going through everything that we see here. So here you have 2 computers. They are comparing them. And again, what's now going to happen is you are going to get questions that are going to come back or point back to this scenario. So there they say, name the type of memory installed in computer A. Okay, we can see that's our DDR4. How much storage does computer B have? Okay, guys, you can go through this. Here's one. This image should be a little bit clearer. Computer A has a different USB port than computer B. Identify which port belongs to computer A. This is a normal USB port. So there, USB type A. This one we know is a USB type C port. Right, then they want us to explain the term cache. So what is cache? It is used to temporarily store information, often data, in a computer system. That's really what it is. Right? Does cache make the CPU faster? There's the game. Explain your answer. So yes, the cache does. It does improve the system's performance. But how does it do that? It does that by reducing the time it takes for the CPU to access frequently used data. Okay? That's all it is. Name the storage device mentioned in both computers that's not included in many computers. Let's have a look here. There. No optical drive included, and this one has an optical drive. So optical drives like our CD drives or CD writers or DVD drives, most modern PCs, laptops, all of that, they don't have them anymore. Right, 8.2. It's 8.2, yeah. Participants had questions about bringing their own hardware. What does that sound like? BYOD, right? Bring your own device. No individual speakers are allowed at the event to prevent sound overload. Give two hardware gamers used to enhance their gaming experience, excluding hardware that provides sound. Okay, so hardware that gamers use to enhance their gaming experience. Well, if you're gaming on a computer, what's the first thing you're going to go for? The first two things. It's a gaming mouse and a gaming keyboard, right? Maybe there's a controller you connect into the machine, a different monitor, right? Those frame rates, that whole FPS and the refresh rate, yeah? Okay, so those are things that you can mention there. Some hardware connect via wires, okay? So what are they asking us here? What hardware can be used if there are not enough USB ports available on a computer to connect wired devices? Well, if there's not enough USB ports, you can usually just plug in a USB hub and then you'll have more ports. Okay, a gamer might prefer a wired gaming mouse over a wireless. Give a reason. Well, there's no connectivity issues. You're not going to have issues when the batteries, die and then suddenly it can't connect to the PC. I mean, imagine that happens mid-game. No, we can't have that. So, yeah, that would be my reason. Then they give us a nice image here for our internet. Okay, so we've done a speed test. The speed test is showing our download speed, and that's why we have this arrow pointing down. So that's the download speed. So when we are watching videos, when we are downloading things, that's all going to be here. We are streaming as well. It's all going to be under the download speed. This purple arrow shows us up. So this is our upload speed. The speed of data transmission through which we are sending data through to the internet. So when you are going live, when you are posting, all of that is under the uploads. Okay, I haven't even looked at the question. I just went at this first. There are two values. Discuss the meaning of each. We just did. Okay, 8.3.2. Define the term ping. Now, many of you won't know this. But when it comes to your ping, it's a diagnostic test. And what does it do? It tests the connection between two computers on a network. Okay, so for 1 mark, it's a diagnostic test. What does that test do? It tests the connection between two computers on a network. Or 2 points on the network. You can say it like that as well. The term broadband, well, this is transmission of wide bandwidth data over a high-speed connection. That's all it's saying. I just want to make sure because it's worth 2 marks. And it allows the user, just want to see in the memo as well where they get the second mark from. So the first one, transmission of wide bandwidth data over a high-speed internet connection. Data rate connection that allows the user to send data faster. So it's just, when we talk about broadband, we're talking about a wide bandwidth data. No, we're talking about the transmission, of wide bandwidth data over a high-speed internet connection. And this allows you to send data faster. Okay, again, you don't have to use the exact wording here. You can use your own as long as the idea comes through. 8.4.1. Here we've got HTML. The text LAN event needs to display on a web browser tab. In other words, here with title. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to put in title. And my other problem is that that should be at the beginning. So already I've answered that. Describe which HTML tags you should use to display the participating schools in a bulleted list. Bulleted list. So what's that going to be? That's going to be our UL, our unordered list, and then each one's going to get an LI tag. So what you'll end up saying here for 2 marks is, number 1, UL above. So you'll actually like write out the code, open code for UL, and you'll say this one above the list, and then close the UL tag and say this one at the end of the list. And then you'll add to say your LI tags, open and close, must be added before and after every school name. Okay, so that's question 8 of the 2025 supplementary. Right, let's finish this off now. We've got question 9, and then that's it. Okay, so question 9 from 2024. Let's have a look at it. Integrated scenario continued. Oh, so it's continuing from the previous one. The staff at the hotel need some assistance with some general admin. How could a word processing document be saved so that the text can be edited on another computer that does not have the program installed? So how could a word processing document, so a Word document, be saved so that the text can be edited on another computer that doesn't have that program installed? Well, you could save it as a rich text format. You can also save it as a plain text file, right? That will work. Purpose of inserting section breaks in a word processing document. Well, what is it there to do? It allows for the splitting of a document so that each part in the document can be formatted on its own. Then how do we convert some of these questions? Why are they asking this? How do you convert an endnote to a footnote? You literally go to your footnotes. You can go and double click on that, go into the grouping and go to convert note and then choose convert endnote to footnote. You can alternatively also just right click on the footnote and say convert to endnote. Okay, in a document, the author has used the enter key repeatedly to move headings to the top of the page. Why is this not a good idea? Well, the document, as a document is created and edited, the headings will have to be moved continuously to keep them at the top of each page. Can you imagine having to do that at the top of each page? No, man. This is why we have also headers and footers for you to put things in there. Then propose a way to correct this. Well, we can use page breaks. That'll be better. Next one. Here we have what looks like our spreadsheet. Suggest one way in which the names of the guests staying on the second floor. Now, how will we know they're staying on the second floor? Because it's got a 2 in front of it. How can they be extracted without copying each name separately? How are we going to do that? Well, we can sort and filter this list. Right? We can sort and filter it according to room number. Okay, which feature of the Office package can he use to do what? Manager needs to have the same information which appears on the spreadsheet in database. In other words, you're going to import from database or to database from Excel, right? That's all we're going to do. 9.5.3, why is the SUMIF function not suitable to determine the number of guests that stayed on the second floor? Because the SUMIF is going to add them together. That's why we've got sum. It's literally going to add them together. So what can we rather use? You can rather use a count if. Okay. Then they give us some more formulas, guys. You can go through this stuff. Explain the difference between round down and round up by giving a possible outcome of the following. You see, why are they doing this to you? Okay. So our round down will round this down to, 4.87. So it'll round it down to 1 decimal place. So it'll be 4.8. And this one to no decimal places. So this one will go up to 2.3. Okay. Database contains the surnames and names of guests. The following criteria appears in the surname field as a database query, like SMI, and then we see we've got our little star there for our wild character. In other words, it's going to start with SMI. The person's not sure what it ends with. So that's why you've got the wild character, that star in there. So that's why they're saying like, sm, or sme, whichever way you want to do it. All right. So here they ask us, give the term that's used to describe the asterisk. I mentioned it. It's the wild card. Do you see what I do? I look at the question, try and work out everything it's asking me, and then I go to the individual questions inside of that as well. Give the purpose of using the asterisk. I already explained that. Like we're jumping ahead of this now. The technologies mentioned in the scenario refer to the 4IR, the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I mean, that's what you're going to write in here with the acronym. Give 2 more examples of technologies of 4IR. Well, the Internet of Things, which we mentioned in a previous live, is where you've got normal items around the house that we can now connect to the internet or connect to via the internet. Big data, connectivity, any of those things fall under 4IR. With the new technologies, Windows 10 recommends not to turn off automatic system updates. So we're talking about updates. Give 2 reasons why software developers release updates. Well, there could be different features that are coming through. There could be increased security. There could be changes, improved efficiency in the app, anything like that. Right. State 2 potential disadvantages of not being able to disable automatic updates. Well, it's going to kill your data. That's for sure. So your data use is going to increase. You'll have a drop in performance because you're having this running in the background, and it's going to take up a lot of space as well. Right, here they want us to complete the missing specification of an entry-level computer, for example, monitor. So this will be our CPU, this will be our RAM, this will be Wi-Fi connectivity. Okay, the hotel offers their guests free Wi-Fi connectivity. A general crime people commit is using unsecured Wi-Fi internet connections without permission. What is this called? This is called piggybacking. Okay, piggybacking. And that brings the 2024 paper to a close. So let me close that. We've just got 2025 open. And let's go and finish question 9 there now. And then we're done. Right, the school's ICT department is assisting the eSport club. So we're continuing with that. They want to know what's the difference between paste and your format painter. Okay, now we know paste is used to copy text and graphics and just copy it from one place and paste it to another. Whereas the format painter is copying the formatting that's done on one object and applying it to another. Okay, here they talk about predictive text. And we know that that's the tech that actually, when you type on a device, it suggests words or phrases that you can put in there. So that's your predictive text. Look, a benefit is it helps you to type faster. You can get your communication across a lot quicker because of that. But most of us don't use it. Name a feature to ensure all instances where the incorrect words throughout the document are changed. Doesn't that sound like find and replace? Yes, it does. The cat teacher suggested using her drone at the LAN event. It has LED lights and a webcam built in. The a software component provides communication between an operating system and a drone. What is the software's general name? So hang on, it's software, so it's a program communicating between the operating system and a piece of hardware outside of that system. That is a driver. Okay, and they're asking what a drone is, and this is an aerial vehicle. What does it do? It receives remote commands from a pilot or from some sort of software. What is the purpose of the drone's webcam during the LAN event? Well, to capture images, video, maybe it's live streaming as well. That's what it's there for. Name 2 possible issues. Okay, the network administrator's duties include verifying that the games are installed and ensuring the functionality of all rented notebooks. The server desktop fails to switch on. Name 2 possible issues he can check to solve the problem. Well, guys, let's go with the absolute basics. Check that the PC is switched on. check there's maybe not a loose power cable. Check that it's, maybe there's a power failure in the area. Maybe there's something faulty or damaged. So any of those you can pop in there. Right, then they talk about minimum and recommended requirements. So what's the difference? Well, your minimum requirements are the specs that your computer system must have for the software just to work. Okay, but the recommended is there. This is the hardware that's required for the software to work at its best. That's just all I'm going to say there, right? That should be fine. All right, then they want us to look at this email. They want us to label this. And we know A is our BCC, that's our blind carbon copy. We've got our carbon copy here as well with B. What else do we have? We've got an attachment. We've got flagging that. We've got, what do they actually want? Oh, they're just giving us everything. Okay. Which label allows you to set the email as a low priority? That is going to be D, low priority. Which label allows you to add a recipient without showing their email? We know that's the BCC. And then which label will remind you to get back to an email at a later stage? And that is F. Okay, we're flagging that so we know we need to get back to that. The CAT teacher helped the students to create a spreadsheet with some relevant information about the participants of the LAN event. So there's everyone that came into the LAN event. But what do we see here? When I see this, what is that telling me? That's the subtotal feature. Okay, so let's just bear that in mind. Name the spreadsheet feature used to create. Here we go again. We've already answered this. Do you see what I'm doing? Right? I hope you're taking note as to how I'm going about answering this. So that's the subtotal feature. Describe the method by which the data within the cell range C2 to C14, C2 to C14 was grouped according to age. So how did they do that? Well, they just sorted that according to age in ascending order. Column F contains all the email addresses of the students. The teacher suggests adding a hyperlink to the email address. What's the purpose of the hyperlink? Well, the purpose is to take us to another location. So in this case with the email, it will open up our email program so that we can go and email that particular student. What is the function of the triangle in the top left corner of the spreadsheet between column A and row 1 heading? So this triangle, what is the purpose of that? Well, the purpose is when you click that, it's going to select everything. Simple as that. Okay, last few questions. The grade 11s are fundraising at the LAN event and will be selling food and drinks. They have a card machine to make the event cash free. Which technology enables payment via tapping a smart watch or card on the card machine? That is our near field communication. Name another intelligent function of a smartwatch apart from using it for payments and health monitoring. Well, you can check your messages. You can actually check the time. Wow, big surprise. You've got a watch that tells you the time. Okay, our GPS, the fact that it's water resistant, it's got an always on display. Some of them play music as well. So you've got a lot that you can choose from. Last one, the school is taking responsibility for all the rental notebooks and securing the data. Give an example of how the school can secure the laptops in the hall. Look at this, excluding hiring security guards and locking the hall doors. So they want to secure the laptops, but they want to leave it in an unlocked hall. Okay. Well, what we can do is to use cable locks. I mean, this is just one mark. So the simple one is to use cable locks to the notebooks, and then they rip the whole desk out. Anyway, give the keyboard shortcut to lock the screen on the computer. That is the Windows key plus L. Right, grade 12s, and there you go. That is the end of me going through the Theory 2024 and Supplementary 2025 paper. All the best as you prepare for your CAT grade 12 theory exam. Thank you very much for being part of this journey here in 2025, and God bless for the future. Good luck.